TV.
Everyone.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Before we begin our meeting, Deputy Mayor, if you would please read our land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We respectfully acknowledge the City of Corner Brook as the ancestral homeland of different populations of Indigenous people. We also acknowledge with respect the rich histories and cultures of the Beothuk, Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit of the province of Newfoundland and Labrador.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have a committee of the whole meeting tonight. So would someone like to move the approval of the agenda, please?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Seconder? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Counter-minded? Carried. We have some minutes from our regular meeting on January 13th. Would someone like to move the approval of the minutes?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Seconder?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Counter-minded? Carried. And do we have any business arising? Anything there? Yes, Councilor.
Just 25006, Mr. Mayor, Recreation Center Gymnasium painting.
Yep.
Just a question on when we expect that to begin and be completed.
Mr. Robinson.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, that painting will begin once we have access to the building, basically. So once they are done with substantial completion, then we can go in and start doing the after things that we look to do, and painting will be one of the first ones we start with.
And what would be the time frame to get the work done?
Yeah, Mr. Robinson.
We are anticipating it'll take about a month to complete the work.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other things, items there arising? Yes?
Just, I guess 25007, not 7. We have we had a little thing dealing with the IMSP.
Yep.
Would it be appropriate now to give us like a timeline on how that's going to unroll, or how we see that going, or can we bring it back to another meeting, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think we have some preliminary. I think there's a draft still to come back internally, and then it goes out to the public. So my understanding from that meeting was we're looking at March to have the draft complete to go to the public for consultation. Is that right, Mr. Burton?
That's correct.
Yeah, no, I was questioning on the weekend on if it was actually going to come back to the public,
Yes.
and I did say yes, because we had discussed that at the meeting that we had.
Yeah.
Definitely was come back to the public for comments, and
There's going to be it'll go through the regular process besides that, like any normal development regulation change. But in addition to that, I think we're going out before we go even back to council for the initial stamp approval. That's my understanding. And then we go through the regular, I think 2 or 3 steps of public consultation before it goes to the province for final.
so timeline, Mr. Mayor, what are we looking at before it's implemented?
We're talking probably over a year.
Okay, yeah.
Because as we understand, it usually takes somewhere between 4 to 8 months for a development regulation change, and that's a simple one, going through the provincial program. And so this one, of course, this is a whole new set of regulations and a new municipal plan. So we anticipate it'll take quite a while for the department to review it after we're happy with it. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, let's get going. We have got a number of reports. Councillor Granter, we've got a protective services report for December.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Municipal enforcement received 73 calls for services, including 34 calls for services were received that included for bylaw enforcement, 34 calls, 6 for taxi regulations, and all 6 of those, Mr. Mayor, were for driving permits, 10 for animal control, 23 for parking enforcement, and the Corner Brook Fire Department received 39 calls over that period. And we received 7,875 for the public safety and CSAP. That's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on that? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Under animal control, what is safekeeping program?
Oh, Mr. Flynn.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the safekeeping program is a program that we initiated back in cooperation with the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary. back in 2016, I think it was, or 17. Anyways, basically what it is pets or animals that come from domestic dispute situations or violent situations. If the spouse leaves the home and goes to a shelter, most shelters don't take their pets, so we step forward and take the pet on behalf of that situation, on behalf of the RNC and that pet owner.
And they can get the pet back.
Oh, yes, I think.
Okay, so those
Yeah,
are
no,
the-
it's only for temporary, just until they can resolve the situation and get more stable.
As I understand, there's a way to encourage people who are in dangerous situations, domestic, assaults and things like that. So
Yes.
that they know that their pet is not going to be stuck in the middle.
Yeah, because we've heard that some people won't leave the situation because of the pet, so we want to remove that barrier, basically.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions there? We did have, I know, there were a couple notable structure fire calls that I know there have been talk of the town a little bit, but the issue came up, I guess, about how many structure fires we do have, because we have a lot of calls. And Mr. Flynn, could you tell us roughly how many a year we get?
We're seeing roughly one fire a month on average. Now, that might be 3 in 1 month and none for the next 2 months, but it's usually one a month. 12 to 15 fires is what we see. And not all those fires are like full, structured, destruction, homes or whatever, but a lot of them are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's been on average now since I've been here pretty well. So.
Yeah. And it is, of course, it's very tragic when those things happen. I do want to pass on again well wishes to our fire department. I understand they did a great job. Especially there was one family home that had a very the people were lucky to get out safely, and I understand they did an excellent job there. So kudos to those guys. They did great work.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Just a comment on that. I think we kind of get caught up in, when we talk about our fire department, where they're full-time, about, well, how many calls do you get?
Yeah.
How many actual fires do you get, and all this kind of, but you got to realize we have a good fire prevention team over
That's
there,
right.
too. So they are getting the message out. They are getting safety. Like, people are more concerned about their homes now, even though they are insured, but they want to do things right, and it's being built right, to get appliances put in, they're put in right. So it's more education that's probably keeping our numbers down. So that's really, doesn't mean we don't need the department, it just means that we're doing our job.
That's right. Absolutely. Okay, thank you. Any other questions on that one? Okay, Deputy Mayor, we have a Public Works summary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Public Works, and this is from December the 10th to January 19th, 2025. Pothole repairs, new reclaimers. Staff have been using the new asphalt reclaimer from January 6th to the 17th. Large asphalt repairs have been done on West Street, Goodyear Avenue, O'Connell Drive, and Wheelers Road. The second crew during this time was placed in coal patch to respond to the increase in pothole complaints. Snow clearing, staff had to plow twice since this period to do cleanup of side roads and higher elevation at 2 separate times. Snow in the downtown quarter has been removed on December the 29th to the 30th. The ice rink has been put up, but the weather has prevented us from making enough ice to open it. When conditions improve, staff will start making ice again. The Kinsman Building washroom renovation, work on renovation is nearing completion. All interior work will be completed within the next week, and the groundwork outside the entrance will be completed in the spring. The depot washroom renovations to the main washroom was completed this week of January 6th. The gas and DEF shed, staff are completing a reno of the existing gas shed so it can accommodate a 1,000-liter tote of DEF, diesel exhaust fuel. Safer and more cost-effective to purchase by the tote versus purchasing pallets of 10-liter containers. The service request from December the 10th to January the 20th, we had 240 calls received. The top 3 categories of requests were salt and sand requests, potholes, and snow clearing. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Questions on this? Yes.
Yes,
go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, just a quick comment and a question too, I guess. With regard to snow clearing, I know we had a lot of snow in the last few days, and last weekend in particular. We do have a contractor, I know we discussed this in one of our previous meetings, and signed a contractor to narrow streets in Corner Brook. But then we look at other streets that are not taken care of by the contractor, but taken care of by our own crews. Streets like, well, you're trying to compare different streets. You have Stratton's Road, for example, off Broadway, Watson's Road off Broadway, which is always a difficult streets to keep clear. But those two streets in particular, you can only enter, and they're on a hill, you can only enter from the bottom. You can't enter from the top. There are a lot of streets around Corner Brook like that. And we have other streets on the hill whereby you can, if you can't get up the hill when it's a snowfall and the plows haven't been out, well, then you can go up a main drag in some cases and come down from the top and access your properties. Where are we with regard to our contractors doing the narrow streets, how good a job they did the narrow streets and timing compared to, say, our city crews being able to get to some of our side streets like Stratton's Road and Watson's because they're challenging streets, albeit on those kinds of things. So where are we with regard to the contractor compared to our own city crews? And if we have challenges getting to streets like Watson's and Stratton's and others around the street, around the city, should we not consider then adding those streets in another year to a contractor if they can get access to it quicker, so that residents can get access to their properties faster than currently they can? I don't know if that was a roundabout way of...
Mr. Bird, where we set the line, I guess, for the small roads list versus our,
Well,
we do Strattons and Watsons, right?
yes, that's correct.
we do.
Unfortunately, Strattons and Watsons are on the very tail end of a run, so it does take 8 to 10 hours once the snow stops for us to get the route done. I can't really comment. It's a new contractor this year doing the small roads. We did have a few hiccups when we got all that snow last week, just on routing and which roads he was responsible for and stuff. So in terms of timeline, it's typically not a big difference from the contractor, because the contractor also has to do the parking lots that we have as well. So although, yes, he can, on a good day, I guess, he could probably get the small roads done quicker than we can get to Watson's or Stratton's. The issue is if Watson's and Stratton's aren't last, then the street before that is going to be last. So it's unfortunately, the tail end of the runs are always going to be 8 to 10 hours out this winter. Now, we are working on a project right now to try to reduce that time significantly next year. We're looking at a whole different routing system and possibly different equipment. We're hoping to have that rolled out this year, but the data that we needed to make that plan wasn't as available as we thought, so we're producing a lot of it in-house. So hopefully next year we will have a different system we're looking at breaking out a lot of the main roads from the side roads so that we can get the main roads done quicker, and then even the side roads will be done quicker because all the mains will be on one run. Right now, every run has mains and sides. So on a day where you're getting a lot of snow, there's days, it could be 8 hours before the plow even gets on the sides because you got to take care of the mains. But what we're looking at now is possibly adding all the mains to 1 or 2 runs so that we can get over on the side streets quicker.
Okay, Councilor Gill?
I think that Mr. Burden has answered my question, but I'm just wondering about if something's at the tail end of something, is there a way that we, I guess that's measured on previous experience and what snowfalls would be, but is there a way that they could not always be the tail end? Like, could somebody else be the tail end for once in a while? Can we shift it up so those people are not always at the tail end?
It's, we get that question all the time from the people on the tail end.
No kidding.
But it's theoretically, yes, but it becomes difficult when you have so much to clear, and we have a practice of we always turn right, and that's a safety thing. So it's not as simple as just turning everything around and doing But we can't do Stratton's and Watson's first and then leave Country Road till last. So it's not as simple as just flipping it.
Yeah. Thank you,
So
Mr. Mayor.
that's why we're doing this exercise now, to try to get to them, try to get to these smaller roads that are on the tail end of a run quicker.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I brought it up because in my preamble, some of these streets, like Stratton's and Watson's, you can only enter from the bottom. There are no access from a top to be able to come down. So these residents on those streets are often finding it very challenging, very difficult to get to their residence after a day's work, or, you know, if they work nighttime, if you're a taxi driver, what it might be, trying to get home at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, when other streets that could be on a hill, you could have access from the top and meander your way down to your property, as opposed to trying to spin your way up a hill if the plows haven't gone through for 8 hours.
It is, it is a regular occurrence, and our city, of course, is largely built on the side of a hill. And so it is a very big challenge to get people safely. We do a pretty good job, but it is hard, especially with cagey weather. I've noticed this winter, when we finally did get winter, things soften up. Within a day or two, that hard-packed snow becomes mush again as the salt and sand get mixed in there and people start going on it, and it's slippery and difficult to navigate. Now today, driving around, we may have a lot of bare streets because, of course, there's no frost on the ground yet, and we're getting it all thawing up again. So it is difficult, but I'm glad to hear that we're looking at different options for efficiency and more routes. That's a great idea, for sure. But again, I appreciate everyone's patience as we work through these things. And every time we restart winter, the process starts again. And so we all have to get used to, I guess, how we're driving, how we're doing things. So again, appreciate your patience. It's always a challenging season, there's no doubt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, Mr. Mayor, we also, we usually get winter kind of gradually. This year, we kind of just hit us like 35 centimeters, I think, last week alone. And this year, we're training up quite a few new operators, and we have a new contractor doing the side roads, the small roads. So you don't get a chance to ease them in when you hit so much snow in a short amount of time. So there was definitely some growing pains last week from plowing.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Deputy Mayor, we've got the other side over here with water and wastewater.
It's the interesting one, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
There you go.
Water and wastewater complaints. We had a total of 119 with the top one was alarms at 26 and requests for water shut off and on was 11. Water leaks, we had 13. They were the top, they took top priority. Water and wastewater media releases, we had a total of 23. To water and wastewater recoverable works, we had $22,277.01. That was what we recovered, and I guess the top one was private hydrants, and I'm sure there'll be questions on that after. To water and wastewater repairs, we had 16. And maintenance projects, I'm just going to give you tops of trees, because some of them we've been working on now for many months, so I'm just going to give you what is happening right now. Pressure reducing station, the annual service 15 station remaining. Work has started and is scheduled to be completed in the next couple of months. Wastewater flow monitoring and water sampling. Flows are continuously monitored at Basin G, Main Street, and downloaded bi-weekly. Samples are collected from Basin G bi-weekly and sent to AGAT labs for testing. And leak detections was done in the curling area, zone A, B, and C. And we also had leak repairs during this time on Sam's Road, Youngs Avenue, and there were the two. Upcoming maintenance that's going to happen to us with the flow meter installation is to replace existing and adding new meters to Lundigan Drive and Sunny Slope, post chlorinators, Rose Street, Wellington Street, and West Valley Road PVR stations. A total of 6 meters will be installed. Work at Lundigan Drive started on January 14th to prepare for the installation of the first flow meter. The overview for the water treatment plant maintenance, raw water quality varied but was mostly stable throughout the month. The results of the latest corrosion coupon testing has shown that our finished water is still corrosive. Because of this, we decided to increase the orthophosphates dosage from 1.35 to 1.6 mgs. The increase is in line with what was specified during the commissioning process. Also, soda ash was increased to achieve a higher pH. Currently, our pH is 7.5 to 7.55, and we are now targeting 7.8 pH. This increase, and this is why this is interesting, Mr. Mayor, this increase in chemical doses will increase our monthly cost for orthophosphates by $3,500 for the soda, by $3,500, and the soda ash by $2,000. So that's I would think, a significant increase, Mr. Mayor.
Well, that's what, 60,000 over a year?
Yeah. And I'm sure we'll have a few questions on that after. Upcoming maintenance projects, once again, the instrumentation upgrades, building fire monitoring panel, replace the existing panel, and the backwash filter water system to install a new automatic flush valves. And we also have access stairs to Clearwell, install new galvanized stairs, and flash mix and DAF common channel drain, clean, and inspect. That's it, Mr. Mayor, for that, I think. I don't think I missed anything off.
I think you've got a very technical report.
I think so.
Yes.
Don't ask me what it all means, because we're going to have to.
So what questions do you have for the deputy mayor on that? Do you want to ask about the...
Yes, I did.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I guess what I said there, why the increase in the 3,500 and the soda ash by 2,000?
Mr. Burden?
Yeah, what we found back when we were spending a lot of money on orthophosphate, which is our corrosion inhibitor, we initiated probably 3 or 4 years ago now, right around when COVID started, we initiated a corrosion monitoring program. So essentially what we have is we've installed just little steel coupons, like the same type of material that our pipe is made of, at various locations around the city. And we've been periodically weighing them to see what the loss is because of corrosion. And we did that to try to reduce the orthophosphate dosage to try to save some money. But what we're finding is we can't actually reduce it. It seemed like initially we could, and now a couple of years has gone by, we're getting more data, and it looks like we're going to have to increase that dosage again, and also increase the pH to make that all more effective. So we're constantly trying to do things to save, but sometimes they don't always work. So that's what we're not actually increasing past where we originally started. We're just going back to where the original dosage was.
Okay, and a higher cost.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I would say it's at a higher cost for the chemicals, but again, it's a savings on the pipe
Yeah.
and valves and everything else, which can cost considerably more if we have to replace them due to corrosion. And they deteriorate earlier than expected, so it's money well invested.
That's right. It's all a balancing act, isn't it? Yes, Deputy Mayor, you got another question?
Private hydrants, what do we do with private hydrants?
Mr. Burden?
So
We get a
we
bit
have-
of money back from that?
We do, yeah. That's a recoverable cost for us. We have about 750 hydrants of our own, and we also service, as far as I know, every private hydrant in the city as well, because they have to be winterized, they have to be inspected for fire, to make sure it's all good for their people's insurance. So we get paid to. There's no one else really trained around the city, like a plumbing company or something wouldn't have the professionals to do that. So that's why we do it, is a bit of a service to mostly businesses that have it.
Okay.
But we do charge for it. So.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions there? Okay. Moving right along, we have a report from Development Planning. Councillor Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report is intended to serve as an update to council and the public regarding the various development, planning, and community services activities. The current project updates are as follows. From Development and Planning, 29 Lundergan Drive, the office warehouse, it's a new building and work is ongoing. The Mount Patricia's Cemetery extension, permit is issued, work ongoing. 4-unit apartment building on Curling Street, the permits are issued, work ongoing. The extension at the funeral home on St. Mark's, permit issued for 2 extensions. One extension is complete, the second one is progressing, anticipated to be complete in a couple of months. The annex converted to an apartment building, that's on Harold Avenue. The architectural drawing is received. Exterior work is slated to start this fall or spring. I would assume that's 2026.
Nope. No, I think, I think the report was probably done last year. So
Okay.
it was past fall and this spring.
Okay, okay. All right, I just want to make sure we got that right. Confederation Drive, the new car dealership. Permit complete for phase number 1. Civil site works anticipated to start in the spring of 2025. Lundergan Drive warehouse extension, that's ongoing. Permit issued for the foundation and structural steel. Permits issued for the interior fit up. 21 Mount Bernard Avenue, the 33-unit apartment building. Partial permit issued for site works, foundation, and exterior shell. Work is ongoing. A new building on 67 Lundergan Drive, the occupancy permit is issued. Cosmetic hotel renovations, 12 Confederation Drive, the permit has been issued. Significant interior renovations to 24 Murphy Square, permit is issued. Interior, repair for private school, 71 Phillip Drive, the permit has been issued. Occupancy is issued. Industrial Park Study, Dillon Consulting has been hired to complete this work. And finally, the IMSP new municipal plan. Upland is in the final stages of completing the plan. The document will soon be ready to forward to the provincial government to start the official adoption procedure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
But not before we have a public consultation.
That's right.
That's right,
Thank you.
yeah. Okay, any questions on this? Mr. Byrne, I just had a quick question. I hadn't seen this in the report. Did everything get sorted out with the McDonald's renovation?
Yeah, it did, Mr. Mayor, but they took away the free refills.
The what?
They took away the free refills at the restaurant.
I got a question for you, Mr. Burton. Do you know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in Paris? It's called a Royale with cheese. They got the metric system. They don't know what a quarter pounder is, right? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions there?
We need some weight scales.
Yeah? Okay, moving right along. Finance and admin, Councillor Gill, what's on the go with our money?
Well, I'm happy to report, Mr. Mayor, that as far as finalizing the 2024 year-end goes, we're looking at revenues of actuals versus budgeted with a plus of $880,000, which is great. But we do have some variances with our expenses, although we balance out in the end, it looks like. The total outstanding debtors with respect to taxes for property and business taxes are $3.5 million on 1,054 accounts. So that's concerning. And of those, the business taxes outstanding amount to $725,000 on 216 accounts. You know, and people need to pay their taxes or we can't serve them to the best of our ability. Also, please don't ignore your tax bills. Where's the camera? Which camera am I speaking to? That one?
It'll find you.
Please do not, no, see, I don't know if I am. Oh, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm looking at you. Please pay your taxes or get in touch with us, because we can help. You know, just because you have a tax bill that you might not be able to pay all the one time does not mean that we can't work something out over time for you. We're happy to help people where we can. I do have a couple of questions for Mr. Maestri, and I would like to thank him for this involved report that he's provided us. There's a lot of red in some places, and I know that we're doing well, as I've just documented. But I just want to ask a couple of questions, Mr. Mayor, if I might. With respect to our public works, if we all want to go to 10 of 16, with building maintenance. When I'm reading building maintenance, total building maintenance, annual budget $788,600, and then I read remaining budget $87,983, where does this money go? Let's tell our people, what are we, like, the year end is very close, so where are we going to spend that 90 grand between now and March? If at all. I'd be happy if we didn't spend it, but I'm just, for an instance, I just want to give people
Yep, Mr. Maestri,
an idea.
tell us where the money magically goes or doesn't go.
Yeah, like heat, light, walls, holes in the walls, like where do we spend our building maintenance budget?
So, Mr. Mayor, so the city has various buildings across the city. There's various maintenance requirements, public service department services. But in terms of the specific line, if you could just point that out to me. Are you looking at a specific line in the expense category?
Yeah, I'm sorry, and I've caught you unawares, and I apologize for that. But it's on page 10 of 16, and it's about 2/3 the way down, total building maintenance. Because we do own a lot of buildings, and we also provide funding for buildings that other people own, so to speak. I use own in quotation marks. And so I guess I'm noticing that we've got 3 months left, roughly, 2 months, 3 months left to our budget, and we've got $90,000 remaining in our budget there for total building maintenance, and which is great that we haven't used all that money yet. And I've totally caught you unawares. I'm sorry, but this was just meant to be a point of interest for our listeners, and I'm sorry if I've caught you unawares. I just wondered where the kinds of things are that would go to. Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, no, I see I don't see that particular item here, but I think, yeah, well, what we could do is, I think the general idea you're getting at
Yes.
is that you'll see that some things are red and some things are black.
Yes.
And so one subhead might be up a little bit. Sometimes that has to do with how we bill certain things, like with labor involved in one category of work we do versus another.
Yes.
And so sometimes there might be some errors in how we bill it or how we categorize it. But overall, generally, I think that we're pretty much on the mark. I mean, we're within, what were we within in the initial report there? We're going to get within a couple percent
you know,
of
it's
where
very
we,
close.
where we
Yes.
estimate, right,
Yeah.
overall?
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I think Mr. Burton might have something
Oh, yeah.
to say.
Yeah, Mr. Burden.
Just to that point is, a lot of that is allocation.
Yeah.
Because if you look at, like, we have 91,000 in the total public works line. But if you go to total building maintenance, we're over by 87. So it's stuff I would suspect was charged to the wrong
Right.
job number.
Right.
So it, it balances out, but there wouldn't be $90,000 left.
Yes, and I appreciate that, Mr. Mayor, very much. I guess when it comes to building maintenance, I don't know if our taxpayers understand how much money goes into actually keeping everything up to scratch, whether it be something that's directly under our purview or something that we're paying for somebody else to use?
Oh, yeah.
Do
no,
you
these-
get?
Yeah. and these
Maybe
will
I
be-
wasn't clear enough. I guess what I'm saying is, we help people, and we help
Yeah.
keep things up to the
Well,
best of our
we
ability.
have a lot of buildings that
Yes.
they do deal with.
There you go. You
The
just-
the overall budget, I think, here was $788,000. And that's keeping the lights on, maintaining things. But yes, we have civic centers. We also have buildings like on the Heights, the building with the Kinsman. The Lions Club.
Fire station.
The fire station, all those things, the depot. We have other buildings where we have
Rec center.
yeah,
New rec center.
there's a ton of properties around. I was over for Literacy Day over at CC Laughlin on Friday, and actually in Councilor Griffin, I saw him there as well. And anyway, I gave a presentation to grade fives about where the city budget, and they tell me, I get them to guess at how much we spend on things. And that's a significant cost for the city, absolutely. So you got to keep the lights on, repair the roof, and do all those things when you have buildings. So
Those are the physical things that people see
That's
that we
right.
do, right?
that's right.
I'm sorry, that was very roundabout. And I apologize to the directors that are trying to answer my roundabout questions, but that was what I was.
But there is an interesting point, though, and again, I remind everyone of this. We put all these agendas up on our website. So the same data that we get here at council, you can go to our website and look through these things. So it has our, 1,400 or so lines of budget.
We've managed to cut it down.
You managed to cut it down a bit, so that kind of detail is there, and obviously it's very difficult to understand, to get every single line. Again, our directors and that struggle with making sure that things are billed in the right places and all that, and Mr. Maestri has to wrangle all of them to keep everything in line too. So it's a very difficult process, but it's all there to have a look if you so desire.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just maybe a clarification here, because sometimes we get a little confused on when budgets start and end. So maybe Mr. Maestri can tell us what our budget year is, because I believe it's January 1st to December 31st.
That's right, yeah.
So there's not 3 months left, because we have March to April in other businesses and organizations. Ours is January to December 31st.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
The financial year, fiscal year for the city is 1st of January to 31st of December, and that is how our budget is prepared.
Different organizations are.
Oh, thank you.
January.
That's correct. Yeah.
I was thinking with my Granville campus hat.
That's what I suspected.
So again, I know, Mr. Maestri, so we have up to December 31st, but I would imagine there's still some finalizing that will be done. I know where audit and all those things get done, and we usually do our audit statements by June or July is when we create. So these, the accounts receivable were mentioned earlier, and I did notice that the business tax and the overall tax outstanding seems to be up a little bit this year. Is that a matter of timing, or is there, we're going to recover some of that now in the next couple months, you think, or?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So the city staff, the city collector is busy focusing on those long outstanding debtors. So in terms of accounts, it's about 1,056 compared to the comparative period of 1,060. So it is down. But it's important to keep in mind that obviously with the new valuations, 2024 versus 2023, the bill would have increased. Hence, the dollar value would increase, but the accounts have actually decreased. Second thing to point out is new to base is the new hospital that has come on and has opened doors in June that now forms part of, and it formed part of our supplementary in November. Hence, you would see in December there was a bit of an uptick, and the hospital component comprises a significant component of that increase in that accounts receivable that needs to be settled.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions? So yes, pretty please, sugar on top.
There you go.
Right.
But do get in touch, right, Mr.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mayor? Because ignoring it is not going to make it better.
Doesn't go away, you're right, but we can help. Okay, moving right along, capital projects, Councilor Pender.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So some of the current projects at Cornbrook Rec Center, everybody's aware that we're getting hopefully near to the end of solving the deficiencies with the contractor. Walkthrough inspections are being coordinated with regulating bodies and aiming for a mid to late February completion date and programming and training plans after that. Deep Gulch Brook culvert replacement, the contractors to complete the remaining work during the 2025 construction season. Curling Street retaining wall replacement for landscaping is to be completed in the spring of 2025, as well as the surface course of asphalt. The transportation study and Harborside Transportation Consultants should have the final reports submitted in the next couple of weeks with council to approve policies to follow. Transit accessibility study and implementation plan, council meeting scheduled for the 28th at noon. The intersection improvements for Livy Street and O'Connell Drive, Harborside Transportation Consultants is the consultant, and it was the project was awarded to JCL Investments, and the startup meeting is to be held on January 24th. For the Star Trail Design and Construction Services, design and construction of the Man the Mountain and Cape Blow-Me Down hiking trails, funding from several sources, I guess, have been received, and the city funds 10% of the total cost. Final report is received, and application for funding for the construction of Cape Blow-Me Down is in progress. For the City Hall atrium lighting, lights have been ordered and installation is anticipated for early 2025. The community market feasibility funding has been obtained to conduct a feasibility study in the city of Cornbrook surrounding a community market. This project will engage residents, business owners, event organizers, and local farmers to understand the interests as well as wants and needs of this type of venue. Data gathering phase and public consultation is to follow. The Western Memorial Regional Hospital bus shelter has been ordered and is due to arrive in late January. Installation will take place in early February, which is pretty close. Farmers Point Park Bandstand project was awarded to Englobe, and the initial survey has been completed and design is underway. Confederation Drive intersection design. The project will see Confederation Drive from the northeast of the Plaza intersection to the roundabout redesigned to make the intersection in this area much safer. Work will include lane reductions and installation of a multi-use sidewalk. Future funding is required for the completion of the work. This portion of the project is design only and will bring the project to a shovel-ready state, and this is being funded by the city capital out of revenue. The design was awarded to Englobe and is underway. Broadway Storm Sewer. The design was awarded to Anderson Engineering and is underway. The CHIF, would you tell me that was housing?
Infrastructure fund.
Funding has been applied for to complete the following projects. The wastewater treatment facility is estimated at $120 million. Curling water reservoir estimated at $11.5 million. Green Transit funding application. Funding has been applied for through the Zero Emission Transit Fund to complete a feasibility study on green solutions for transit buses. Accessible transit funding. Funding has been applied for through the Rural Transit Solutions Fund to aid in the design and implementation of an accessible transit system. Legacy funding. Funding is being applied for through the Canadian Heritage Program to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Cornbrook Pulp and Paper Mill. If successful, this funding will go towards upgrades at Margaret Florida Park. And last but not least, Riverside Drive Risk Assessment. An RFP has been released for the hydrological assessment of the embankment near the area of the landslide that occurred in September 2024. The RFP was released and closed in February of 2025. And that is all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Questions on these items? Yes.
I don't know a question. I'm just going to get back to Bartlett's Point Park. Were we talking, looking at like the entrance, so would that be part of this, or?
I understand this is for design of both bandstand and additional parking.
Yeah, no, I know that's not that one, but would that, because we're thinking about doing that soon, or there were some issues with the entrances to Bartlett's Point Park, and we were going to get a study done to.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well, I guess this is what this would relate to this. Is that right, Mr. Burden?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay,
Gotcha.
thank you.
Perfect. Any other questions here? We have of course, council has a briefing on the accessible transit study finding tomorrow. Yeah, interesting to see what the recommendations are there. Yes?
And Mr. Mayor, the findings of that accessibility report, will they be made public immediately after that meeting, or is there going to be a time period before that will be made public, or is that?
Yeah, it won't be released right then probably, but it'll be shortly after that. So this is the
We have a-
consultant's final presentation to us first.
Right, so we have a community services meeting on Thursday at
Yep.
noon, and I was just wondering how much of that I might be able to share with them.
Yeah, I think hopefully we'll get to, and maybe, I don't know, again, who wants to comment on this. Well, we'll have some idea, I guess, of a plan of attack through this. Mr. Burden, I don't know if you know how close we are to a plan of attack for doing something with accessible transit.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Mayor, there will probably be options within that report.
Okay.
Probably will need some council discussion and council approval.
Okay. So it might be a while to have an official approval on.
Yeah, I'm chomping at the bit.
No, everyone is. That's great. That's what we need to do. So
Thank
get
you,
some of
and
these
thank you
things
to
done.
staff, and thank you to the
Mr.
consultants.
Mayor, just a comment if I may. Just want to note that our sewage treatment plant, wastewater treatment facility is now estimated at $120 million. 6 years ago, it was at $90 million. We are obligated to do it. Obviously, we can't do it without federal and provincial funding, which would cover hopefully 70-80% of the cost. And we don't even have any phasing being, promoted through the federal and provincial governments to get this even started. So every year that goes by, we're obviously not conforming to the current legislation. I know we're allowed to do that,
Yeah.
but still, this is one time it was a pristine bay, and now, of course, we have raw sewage still going in the bay. So I don't know if we're writing the various government sources and asking the ministers, and I guess we got a couple of elections coming soon, so it might be time to get some letters into various departments and look for what funding might be available. Fingers crossed, but not overly hopeful.
It is a very difficult time for infrastructure money right now.
Yep.
So again, CHIF doesn't really do what ISIP did. It's really focused on housing as opposed to some of our other needs. Hopefully this will qualify, but this kind of ask from that program is not going to happen. I think we need to deal directly with the feds. Who knows when we have an election? We know there's one coming sometime between the spring and the fall, but it is a very difficult time of transition
And,
for sure.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just finish an ad. And the sad fact of that is that we did have the IMSP for many years, and the funding was never awarded. And we did even ask for funding for, phases and so on in the past. Nothing. So it's very disappointing to see this, lingering for 20-plus years and still waiting to get funding.
ISIP explicitly told us that phased funding would not happen. They wanted completed projects. Right?
But there still wouldn't funding.
That's right. Yes.
A couple of things. One, don't we already have money in reserve for if
Yes.
and when this happens?
We do. We're ready to go.
Right. Two, would it not behoove us to every budget, and forgive me if I'm not aware of this already happening, but wouldn't it behoove us to every year to try to build that fund just in
We do.
case that? Good.
We have a
Excellent.
sewer levy.
The sewer levy.
The $100 for the sewer levy.
Yeah, but,
charge,
no.
That goes to the fund, so we have $15 million sitting in the fund right now.
Good, okay, good, but, but maybe put a little more elbow grease into that. But, and the second thing that I was thinking about was that people at home don't understand when we speak in acronyms. So when we say that funding is running out from certain sources, can we be specific right now and let them know what funding, what we used to depend on that's not available anymore?
Well,
Can we describe that right now?
The Investing in Canada infrastructure plan expired in March of 2023, and so that's the fund that comes as cost share between us, the province, and the federal government. And so the federal government and the province get together every few years, come up with a bilateral agreement. This one lasted, it was supposed to last a 10-year program. It was cut short because the money wasn't getting out fast enough from the provinces. So the Fed said, we're going to put it short. Get it out, provinces. And then, so that was done then. So the last projects that we're dealing with that is Deep Gulch, that we got $2.5 million, well, not total, that's the total budget. And then the other project was the Curling Street retaining wall. That was a smaller project, but that was ISIP. And so those projects were the last of that. Right now, there's no horizon for anything like that. CHIF came about, the Canada Housing Infrastructure Fund, and that is with the stated goal to grow housing. So we've put in, of course, those two projects for application, the Oak Hills, Curling Reservoir, as a way that we think may qualify for that funding, because it is related to enabling more funding. Likewise, the sewage treatment would potentially allow that. The amount of money we're talking, as Councillor Pender mentioned, it makes it very difficult when you're dealing at, because it's still allotted from the provincial government, even though it's federal provincial money. So when we were doing the ISIP program, we used to apply for sewage treatment, but our share of the sewage treatment for 1 year would take everyone's money to just do our project. Politically, that will never happen, because there's no way that our MHAs would say, give it all to Corner Brook in 1 year. That just wouldn't happen, right? So there, we also, of course, we have a number of projects going. Last year was a big construction year because we had both types of projects going. We have multi-year capital projects where we generally share 50-50 with the provincial government. That money comes at every 3 years, and we, what's good about that is we have a little more flexibility, and we're able to manage probably a dozen projects out of that. We put a lot toward paving and smaller infrastructure projects, but we know we're going to get that money, so we save up our share and we do that work. We borrow when we have to as well. But right now, I've described it as we're in a bit of a capital drought coming forward in the next couple of years because of the political, environment at the provincial and federal level. These projects, or these programs usually take years to roll out, and then years again once they're out for evaluation to actually get the funding in our hands. So it's a difficult situation. The only thing we ask the province and the feds for is help with capital. The people's tax dollars here pay for the snow clearing, they pay for everything else operationally, and we have to run a balanced budget to make that happen. Capital, we need help from the province and the feds. And so that's our challenge.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's good for our citizens to understand those sorts of things,
Absolutely.
Especially when, they might not understand where all the money goes. Yeah.
That's right.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions with that stuff? Okay, we got a couple updates here. Recreation. Councillor Keeping.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The month of January has seen lots of activity at the Civic Center and in the studio gymnasium. There have been numerous hockey tournaments over the last couple of weekends. Most recently, the under-13 A Corner Brook Royals won the silver medal, and the under-13B Corner Brook Royals took home the bronze in the shootout. Additionally, the walking track has been very busy, and there have been a large number of people participating in the weekend general skates. And the studio activities such as pickleball and Norris fitness classes have been very well attended. Preparations are continuing in anticipation of the completion of the new recreation center, with many staffing and programming elements beginning to fall into place. Once an opening date is confirmed, more information will be available regarding specific programming as well as membership options. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions on that about recreation? Okay, thank you very much. And we have a tourism update as well. Oh, so this is big news.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Staff have been very busy making preparations for the upcoming summer tourism season. There will be many more details made available as these plans are finalized. We're excited to share today that the annual Jigs and Wheels Festival will occur from Friday, July 25th to Sunday, August 3rd, 2025. Additionally, Rib Fest will be returning this year and will help to close out the Jigs and Wheels Festival from Friday, August 1st to Sunday, August 3rd, 2025. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So that's good. We'll have the marker calendars out for that, especially Ribfest too. I'll just follow my nose for that one. That's an easy one. And I'll mention this because you won't mention it and Councillor Griffin won't mention it. I've got my button. So Carnival is coming. So that's the 21st, right? That starts?
21st. 21st.
Yeah, so that's, we joked about it, we had a short meeting with some of the Carnival volunteers last Monday, that we were going to probably do a pool party and a golf tournament instead of a winter carnival. How fast things change, and now we have winter once again. So any questions on our tourism report? Thank you very much. Okay, we have a couple decisions here in front of us tonight. We have a discretionary use, 44 Ellswick. Councillor Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City of Corner Brook has received an application to operate a home-based business office, virtual counseling, from the dwelling located at 44 Ellswick Road, which is located in a residential low-density zone. A home-based business office is a discretionary use of the City of Corner Brook development regulations for this zone. A notice was delivered to the residents in the immediate area of 44 Ellswick Road, indicating the above-mentioned request. As a result of this notice, no submissions were received. The proposed resolution be it resolved that the Council of the City of Corner Brook approve the application to operate a home-based business office from the dwelling located at 44 Ellswick Road in accordance with Regulation 11, Discretionary Powers of Authority. I so move.
Thank you. Seconder on that?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Questions on this one?
Pretty simple.
Pretty simple one, yeah? Okay, if there are no questions, let's vote on it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Contraminded? Carried. Okay, and I guess the bigger item here, we have Councillor Granter, the Emergency Management Response Plan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City of Corner Brook has had an emergency management plan. However, it has become outdated and did not fully comply to the new requirements and recommendations of the Department of Justice and Public Safety, Emergency Services Division, and Learn Best Practice. The plan has now been revised by the Director of Protective Services and approved by the Newfoundland Director of Emergency Services. The final step is adoption by City Council. This new plan provides clarity on how we identify community risk, provides guidance on how we respond to various emergencies in accordance with a risk profile, uses industry standard documentation, and adopts continuous improvement methodology. Be it resolved, Mr. Mayor, in accordance with the requirements of Section 5.1 of the Newfoundland and Labrador Emergency Services Act and all other enabling powers, the City of Corner Brook hereby adopts the version 3.0 City of Corner Brook Emergency Management Response Plan. So move, Mr. Mayor.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Would someone like to second that?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, questions on this? Yes, go ahead.
I've been away for a while for reasons. But other than this coming forward tonight, this has been brought before us before, right? This is not the first time we're seeing this.
This draft, yes.
This version is...
This draft.
Yeah.
So if we, this is a request for decision, so if we approve this draft, what opportunities are there for us to amend going forward?
Well,
If
we
this
can
is the
amend it
first
whenever we
draft.
want, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pardon me?
We can amend this whenever we want.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
It's a living
That's all.
document, I think.
No,
but,
I'm not wrong then that this is the first time it's come before us.
That's
Okay,
right.
thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? It is interesting to read, again, the risk matrix and some of the things there is, different types of things that could happen. And it's good to know that we are prepared for those things. We have had this a few years back. We had a state of emergency with some flooding events. Unfortunately, given the weather and the climate change we're seeing, I don't suspect those things will be the last we'll ever see. But again, this is a very impressive document. Thank you, Mr. Flynn, for this. So any other questions? Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, just a comment. I think about my experience with this, and I think what the public should realize too, this not only gives us or shows us an opportunity how to react to a situation, but I think what sometimes goes unnoticed is it also gives us the knowledge to not overreact. Right? Like it's not, like back in my day, in my former life, we would just go. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. We just go. It's only a bit of gas, and then we turn around and come back if we're not needed. But I think there's what's in here that probably will go unnoticed is that all the situations, anything can come up, will be studied and rehearsed, and everything will be going over as a panel. And to, like I said, to finish where I started. To me, it's just as important for us as a city to not overreact to a situation simply because we're in control. We know we have the expertise and we know what we're doing.
Absolutely.
And, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
To that point, to be a leader in this area.
That's right.
You know, we are the only city on the west coast of Newfoundland, and to have a solid plan like this in place, you know, we can be a municipal leader in that regard. And I was very happy to see cyber attack in there.
Absolutely.
Not trying to make light of it, but.
No, but that is something real.
It's a thing.
Yep, that we have to deal with now. Absolutely. Okay, any questions? Okay, let's vote. It seems like a thorough document. Like I said, I think this is, Mr. Flynn, we are right to assume that as things come to light or we need to change things, we would just make that change.
Absolutely. There is a process for change. If it's significant change, it would have to go back to the province for approval, but they're going to approve if we recognize the risk and establish the risk and a means of dealing with it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay? Yep. Okay, let's vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Carried. And that does it for our...
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, yes.
Can I just add a note of congratulations?
Absolutely.
If you don't mind. I'd like to congratulate the Deputy Mayor, Linda Chasson, and Councillor Von Granter on being awarded the Confederation's 75th Anniversary Medal by our MHA Minister Jerry Byrne. It is in recognition of the excellence of their contributions that have significantly enriched Newfoundland and Labrador, shaping a brighter future for all who call it home. So, I like to offer.
Well done.
Congratulations.
Can I add something to Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
No, I'd just like to offer my condolences to the Conway family on the death of Jim. And Jim was a business person in our city forever and ever. And he was well-known, well-liked, and we've lost, the city has lost a good guy here, and I just wanted to acknowledge that here, and like I said, to offer if I can speak for council, and I'm sure I can, our condolences to the family.
Here.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Okay, like I said, we're going to adjourn just for a short period and go to an in-camera session very briefly with council. So with that, we will say good night.